Hi, good afternoon. Today is May 22nd, 2020. My name is Raymond Ng, the Director of Education here in Monteca International Playschool. Thank you for staying tuned today in our Parent Info seminar. It's actually our 9th seminar, so thank you if you've been watching all along. Hopefully you've been getting some useful information that's relevant to you. Today our topic of discussion is mainly the learning area of cultural studies. Cultural studies is one of the big areas in our Montessori CASA curriculum. So it goes practical life, sensorial, language, mathematics, and cultural studies. We'll be answering questions such as what is cultural studies? What other disciplines does it involve? And also I'm going to do a live in conjunction with us showcasing some of our materials that we have for cultural studies. Okay, I think let's start off with the sort of a definition of what cultural studies really is in Montessori. In cultural studies, in our curriculum, we believe that learning can happen in and outside of the classroom. In cultural studies, we bring the child outside of the classroom to be more aware of things that are outside. So even if they're not in the classroom, they are more aware and they're more knowledgeable when they see things outside that are relevant to them. It's really to help them to understand that there is a larger world out there. Just because you can't see it right away, it's still there. So that's a very big concept of our cultural studies program. We learn about different cultures, we learn about different people, we learn about different terrain types, we learn about different animals that are all over the world. Again, this is more to build on their innate curiosity to discover and to learn. Okay. And I would like to just make a very important point that all of this, all of the discussion that we're going to be talking about today is part of a 3-year CASA program, which is the age 3 to 6, which really takes place over the standard K1 to K3 kindergarten program. So normally our CASA program is 3 years, and of course you can also take our Montessori program here at Monteca as a sort of a supplement to your K1 to K3, but it's definitely something that's sort of an organic piece where it keeps building on different knowledge. Okay, it's a very integral part of our Montessori curriculum, and it really just gives you another option. Instead of K1 to K3, you can look at our Montessori curriculum as well. Okay, so back to our main topic here, cultural studies. It crosses over many disciplines, actually. It involves geography, zoology, botany, physics, earth sciences, social studies. All these different disciplines are integrated into this cultural studies. So in a normal conventional system per se, these subjects will not be introduced until at least primary 2, 3, or if you're in the American system, grade 2, grade 3. But here we teach them as soon as they're ready at 3 years old. Okay, so let's talk about our first discipline, which is geography. So what really is geography? Instead of just me talking here, I'm going to show you some of our materials that will give you a better idea of what I'm talking about. I want to show you two specific materials that we use in the Montessori curriculum, which are two globes. So first, this is one of the globes. Okay. Okay. The purpose of this globe is to teach the child the differences between the terrain. Okay, as we know, there's two different types, which is the basic part we're going to look at is land and water. Okay, the water is represented by the smooth blue part, whereas the land is sort of represented by this, I'm not sure if you can see it properly, but this texture here is sort of like sandpaper. It's a rough layer. Okay, so you can feel the differences between the land and the water. Okay, This is the very fundamental of geography, right? We're talking about, we're starting this off at 3 years old for a child. So we don't have to go into the depths of like what is a river and a lake yet, but just to sort out the difference between land and water first, okay? This also touches with sensorial learning, because as you touch these, you have a feeling of how different it is, okay? And then we have the second globe. Let me just bring that up to you. This is the second globe. Okay, as you can see, this is more color-coded. Okay, it distinguishes between the different continents. Okay, it's important for a child to understand and be able to have an idea of where we are physically in the world, on Earth, right? So this globe will allow us to distinguish through different color code systems, which leads on through the maps, okay? Which is what I'm going to be showing you next. We have here in, this is pretty big, so bear with me. So we have these maps here, which is sort of like a puzzle, okay? So you can sort of take a piece out, okay? That kind of thing. I just took Canada and USA and Mexico out. So this is the puzzle map, okay? This is one of the most popular activities in cultural studies. A lot of children like to work with the actual continent map. It's the same color as you would see on the globes for the different continents. Okay, so to do this activity, first they move towards each separate continent. They learn about the things in there, the people in there, the animals in there, the climate, all sort of learning materials within each continent, because as you know, they're all different. And then they will move to specific continents and talk about the countries inside. So for example, in Canada, in my Montessori school there, we would have a specific smaller map that is on Canada only and talks about all the different provinces. And of course, it complements with the flags as well. I don't have the space to show you all like 50, 100 flags, but that's what we would be focusing on as well. So here in Monteca International Playschool, because we do cater to a localized experience, to more relevance, here we do have another map that is specifically focused on Asia and the countries. And of course, we talk about all the different countries in Asia, all the animals, all the different cultures as well, which is all part of the cultural learning experience. Okay. So let's see. Next part that we focus on in cultural learning is botany. Okay. So let me show you another puzzle here. Okay. As you can see, this is a puzzle of a tree. Okay. Now all the different parts relate to different parts of the tree, right? For example, the roots, the stem, and the branches and the leaves and so on, right? And it focuses on, we have other versions that focus specifically on the flowers or another type of plant, okay? Plants are all around us in the environment. We have them in the classroom, we have them outside the classroom. For example, every classroom has a plant inside. And the purpose of that is to be able to teach the children how to respect and take care of the plant. Give them a sense of a responsibility, or give them confidence to be able to take care of something, to build that sense of belonging, not just in the classroom, but in our society, in the community, in the world as well. Okay. The puzzles allow the children to learn about the names of the parts of different plants, trees, or flowers, right? Okay. And then next we have biology. So yes, you've heard that right. At 3 years old, we're going to teach your child biology. Obviously, it's a very fundamental basis of biology. Okay. But in our Montessori curriculum, through K1 to K3, we do work with biology. So an example that I want to show you here is another sort of a puzzle piece, which is, for now, okay, this is the holder. You won't see any pieces inside because I just took them all out. But this actually teaches the life cycle, especially this one, it teaches the life cycle of a chicken, how it goes from an egg to a chick after hatching, to a younger form, and then their final form. Okay. Now this is very important because it teaches them that there is a process of growing and living. Of course, there are other different animals that we work with here, and different insects. For example, frogs or bees, right? So we have that kind of puzzles to sort of teach this biology component. And of course, this moves on later on to older ages, where our Montessori directress will normally bring in a full-size human skeleton model to sort of demonstrate, that what the significance of that is and how we're built. Of course, that's on the later years. That's more around P1 to P3 kind of thing. Okay, so again, we also do have live fish, live animals in the classroom as well. And that's not just only for show this purposes. It's also to teach the children how to respect and care. And how do you, for example, in a fishbowl, you got to change the water and clean inside every week, or when necessary, right? So that's a very big part of the Montessori classroom as well. Okay, and last but not least, we have the earth sciences and physics. Okay, the Montessori curriculum is actually very rich in the science area, discipline. We use a lot of items from the nature, right? We do a lot of nature walks if possible, right? We collect rocks or shells or other specimens. In Canada, we would take pine cones, but here we might take leaves, and we examine them, and we discuss, and we talk about them. And this correlates with our botany program as well, because when we pick up a leaf, we talk about the different parts and so on, and where it came from, right? We do a lot of physics experiments, such as, sink and float, or what's living and what's non-living, magnetic and non-magnetic. Okay. Now this all might sound very simple to you, but just keep in mind, we're teaching this curriculum when they're 3 to 6 years old in our CASA program. So there's no point going into astrophysics on it. We're going to start with the very basics. So these are the very fundamental concepts of earth sciences and physics as well. And after that, we also move on towards bigger things, like, for example, the solar system and volcanoes and weather, and we talk about those things, and we do different experiments. Okay. Last but not least, we have, of course, this cultural studies. So a very big part of our actually everyday programming is to do with different cultures. As we know, every year there's many different occasions, different celebrations, different occasions, and we always talk about that, and that's normally our theme for that week or for that month. We talk about different foods, different mannerism, grace and courtesy. Okay, as those are very important aspects for children to go into socialization, move on to a different environment. They sort of have an idea of this kind of etiquette. Okay, so overall, the Montessori model is very holistic, all-rounded, if I may. Compared to the conventional system, children are more inclined to explore in a Montessori curriculum, and they're interested in things rather than just go through a very teacher-directed curriculum. Whereas a conventional system, a teacher would be sort of planning their lessons around. At the end of the year, they must know this. So how do they get there? And it's not really watching for the children's progress as much as we like. Okay. So that's all for today. Next week, we do have another seminar, and we're going to be showcasing a lot more Montessori materials to you, just to show you what Monteca really has to offer your child. We're going to be focusing specifically on our nursery class materials, which is our toddler program, okay, and also a lot of our CASA materials as well. We did just launch our sort of a nursery and CASA program, which is you sort of drop off your children here for an hour and a half, and we go through the Montessori curriculum, work with them. And then we're also going to be talking about the advantages and how our CASA program is actually a supplement or a replacement even for a K1 to K3. So remember to follow our Facebook, Instagram for news, updates, and promotions. Okay, our N class and CASA classes, which is K1 to K3, are open for enrollment, and the spaces are limited. So do contact us if that is something that appeals to you. Okay, we do have summer camp on the way as well, so be on the lookout for some promotions and news for that. We do have an early bird discount. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Again, my name is Raymond Ng, the director here at Monteca International Playschool. I hope you have a nice day and have a good weekend. See you next week.